You're watching this Raiders instant post-game reaction after a heartbreaking 27-20 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. It's heartbreaking because this was a winnable game for the Silver and Black if they had decent coaching. I'm not going to sit up here and rip apart AP. I think there was a few things that he did, okay. Some other things that I wish he would have done a little bit differently. But the Raiders lost this game because Luke Getsy, he's got his head so far up his asshole that he doesn't know anything. Like, he can't tell what he's supposed to do in any type of situation. And Antonio Pierce can say all he wants, we're trying to win, we're not tanking. Every day that you continuously employ Luke Getsy as your offensive coordinator, you're not trying to win. And I know that you're probably just keeping him around so you got a fall guy, but your stadium today was absolutely taken over in a sea of red. Why? Nobody wants to watch the Raiders play football because it's offensive. You know what else is offensive? The fact that Brock Bowers, it took Bowers probably 2.5 quarters to get another target. He did not see a target in the 13 minutes in the second quarter. He did not see a target the entire third quarter. He finally saw a target late in the fourth quarter when this game was basically already over. But the reason why the Raiders lost, and you can go back and you can look at momentum, you can look at a lot of different things. When the Raiders had an interception, hell of a play there by John Jenkins, tips it up in the air, picked off by Trevon Merrick, gets the ball all the way down to the 3-yard line. And Luke Getsy proves yet again how much of an absolute flippin' moron. Quite frankly, I think if calling Luke Getsy a moron is a compliment because of how bad he has been. First and goal, you run it at the 3-yard line, you lose a bunch of yards. Then you run it again, you try to run it again, and then it's 4th down and goal, and now you're in a situation where it's a turnover on downs. If the Raiders had a below-average offense, they would have won this game. If the Raiders would have had a below-average offense, they would be maybe somewhere around 500. But you're 2-6. You're one of the worst teams in the NFL. And if you want Luke Getsy to get fired, please click that like button. Please tweet at the Raiders, fire Getsy. Spam fire Getsy down below. I don't know what else we have to do to get this man fired. I will say it. Luke Getsy's worse than Josh McDaniels. I really, really, truly believe that. And that's hard to do. I think McDaniels, at least once in a while, would scheme up a few plays. And Getsy's in the same book where the Raiders score on their opening drive. And then for the next 3 quarters, it's just nothing but shit. Why? Because Getsy can't scheme. He's not a good coach. And you saw it many years back in Chicago. And now you're seeing the exact same shit here with Luke Getsy. He's terrible. Gardner Minshew today, 24-30 for 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't want to see anybody talking about, Minshew was great today. He really wasn't all that good. This is a lot of padded stats on that final drive where it was 13 plays. It was 70 yards. All 13 were pass plays. So you basically just padded on 70 extra passing yards here on a touchdown. For majority of the game, yes, that first drive was nice by Minshew. But then again, for majority of the game, the Raiders aren't confident in Minshew. And if Luke Getsy's not going to show confidence in Minshew at all, then put him on the bench and put somebody else in. Because everybody can see that the Raiders don't trust Minshew. And I thought Minshew actually played pretty well today, quite frankly. I think if we would have better play calls, if we had a better OC, we would have been able to get the job done. But if Getsy's not going to have any faith in him, then go put in Desmond Ridder. I mean, I thought we were going to see Ridder. We saw him for a one play. And then a bad false start by JPJ. Our offensive line yet again sucked. Luke Getsy, though, just continuously, time and time again, kept running the football, even though it did not work. I've never seen somebody run the football just for the sake of running the football more than Luke Getsy did. The fumble was a bad one on Minshew, and I think that this is the biggest question going into Week 9 against the Cincinnati Bengals, right before the Raiders have their Week 10 bye week. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So you're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down and give me your honest answer. Who should start at quarterback in Week 9 for the Raiders? Should it be Gardner Minshew? Should it be Desmond Ridder? Should it be Carter Bradley? My answer coming up after this YouTube ad break. It's Desmond Ridder, and it's not close. You start Desmond Ridder, you just see what he's got because you got to figure out a way to motivate your fans. Fans aren't going to the games because of how bad of a product this is, Mark. And I don't know how else you're going to be able to see that. It's Desmond Ridder. The reason why I'm not going to put in Carter Bradley is because if you think Bradley even has an ounce of a chance to be successful, then you're not going to put him in the situation where you're not going to put him in a game with Luke Getsy. You're not going to put him behind this offensive line. Speaking of O-line, DJ Glaze got work today, and I think kind of showed that it's really difficult to be able to continuously be successful as a rookie. JPJ, I thought, got worked, but you know what? If you need something to root for, I got something for you. Here's our sponsor, Prize Picks, and if you're an upset Raider fan because this team stinks, well then, I need you to go prizepicks.com/CLNS. Just make sure that you use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. I love playing Prize Picks. I'm a little bit upset. I took Brock Bowers more, 62.5 receiving yards. And if Luke Getsy would have an ounce of just intelligence, that's all I needed was an ounce of intelligence from Getsy, then Bowers probably would have got the more, because this might be shocking to you. I think it's a really smart idea when the Raiders target Brock Bowers. How in the hell did the Raiders not target Brock Bowers for almost 3 quarters in today's game? That should never happen. And I don't want to hear, which Kansas City did a good job doubling them up. Let's figure out a way to get them open. If you're smart enough of a head coach, or if you're smart enough as an OC, shouldn't you be able to design plays that could free up players? The problem is Getsy's not smart enough to do it. He just lines guys up, calls hike, and it's out and about. This is a high school level type of offense being ran in the NFL. And, I do think that AP deserves blame here, because when you are the head coach, it's your job to be able to make the right decisions. And the only right decision right now is to move on from Getsy, but it's also your job to be able to build an offensive staff. You got a bunch of guys that failed everywhere or were fired, calling plays, doing shit on the offensive side of the football. So am I surprised that the product's this bad? No, I'm not surprised at all. Wild one. How do we care if the Raiders organization doesn't? Because the nation's supposed to show up, and that's what it's about. It's about always showing up. And you know what? If the Raiders aren't going to care, I'm still going to care. Why? Because I'm not the type of person that's not going to do something and not care about it. Let's go to Joseph. I'm making Getsy and Madden just so I can fire him. Love it. And more people, I hopefully can do it. Rebel, 1st and goal on the 3, and the fumble killed us. I mean, those are the 2 plays. The Minshew fumble, 1st and goal at the 3. That one absolutely hurt us as well. And you're just not going to beat a team like Kansas City playing conservative. I think another, you go back to the game in the first half where the Raiders got a minute 57. You got a timeout, and they elect to not try to score. They tried to just go down in the half, down 14-10. It's a 3 and out. Kansas City gets the ball back. They go down the field, they kick a field goal, make it 17-10. You're not going to beat the Chiefs trying not to lose, playing conservative. If you're the Raiders, you got to play to try to win the football game. And the Raiders, the reason why that they're bad is they have no faith in each other. And I'm not saying from the player standpoint. The coaching staff has no faith in its players. So it's really hard, I think, sometimes for these players to go out there and get it done. But man, oh man, I feel bad for the nation, because this is a very winnable game. And like I said, if we have decent coaching, I think the Raiders win that football game. Blaine, I think Pierce should have gone up to the booth and fired Getsy after that turnover on downs and 3 on the 3-yard line. Just take his headset. Peace out. Your Uber is waiting. I wouldn't even get him an Uber. I literally wouldn't. I would tell him, just leave, figure out your own way to get home. I'm not worried about him anymore. Sergio, just here for the jersey, and it's Ridder time. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks it's Desmond Ridder time. Quite frankly, they should have started him today. Let's go to Just. Question, why do I do this to myself? Side note, I got a Gannon jersey, and I'm pretty stoked about it. Gosh, I miss those days. I miss having a competent football team. I miss having an offense that actually strikes fear into the eyes of an opponent, where now people laugh at this Raiders offense. If you can score 20 points against the Raiders, you're going to win. Every time. Every time. Raider Kalman X, what up, man? My only question is, fire loose Getsy. The Raiders need to move on from Luke Getsy. We have all seen enough. This was a bad football game on the offensive side of the ball, and you got to feel bad for the defense, because the defense played well today. Like, if you hold Patrick Mahomes, and I know it's going to say 27, but nobody actually thought that. I thought the Chiefs' offense looked good. I thought the Raiders' defense was able to hold their own. They were able to get some pretty clutch stops, able to get a big-time turnover. And just the offense was just unable to do anything with it, which is just really, like I said, really freaking frustrating, man. You were able to get a turnover. Yeah, they won the time of possession, but that was on that one drive where it was like 19 plays, 80-something yards, and they ended up getting a touchdown. Backbreaker. So how about this? And this is a question that it just needs to be said. It needs to be asked. It needs to be answered. If Antonio Pierce doesn't fire Luke Getsy, does AP deserve to be on that hot seat? You know what I mean? Where people get mad at me when I say, hey, you kind of rip on Pierce a little bit. But real talk, if Antonio Pierce and the Raiders don't decide to move on from Getsy right now, because if I'm Las Vegas, you either do it right now, week 9, before you play Cincy, or you end up doing it at the bye week, because then you get that little extra time to be able to figure it out and go with a new offensive play caller. But I'm just so fed up with how bad our offense looks, and to not try to change anything tells me that this team's not trying to win, and maybe they're not trying to win. And I get it. I want a better quarterback in next year's draft too. But you also got to be able to confidently say that this Raiders team is moving in the right direction, and I don't know how anybody right now with a pulse can say that this Raiders team is moving in the right direction. What up? Oh, yeah, the Chiefs gave us this game, and Getsy was like, no, I insist, we don't want to win. You stay undefeated. This was it really looks like sometimes Getsy's purposely trying to sabotage the Raiders offense. Jedi, what's up, my man? How can we not get 3 lousy yards? Because your offensive line stinks, your quarterback play stinks, your running back stinks, your offensive coordinator stinks. Hopefully that answers your question. The Commanders are throwing this one all the way down. Oh my, touchdown Commanders. Oh my God. Harrison Graham's going to freak out. Hail Mary work, touchdown Commanders. Wow. Justin Avgin, put me in for a Fire Getsy jersey. I hope, you know what? If you guys want to be in for the Fire Getsy jersey, we can give that away today on the Raiders Report. I know we're in an instant post-game reaction show, but that was one of the craziest endings I've ever seen to a game. That was insane. Follow me on IG, at Mitchell Renz 365. Also, don't be afraid to hit me up on Twitter as well. We're going to do our best to get Getsy fired. I promise you, I will do everything, and I mean everything, in my power. Actually, listen to this. When asked about making a change at offensive play call, Raiders head coach said he thinks the issue is execution. Doesn't sound like Luke Getsy is in jeopardy of losing those duties. Antonio Pierce, it's time to man up. Antonio Pierce, it's time to man up. He's saying that it's coming down to execution. It's not coming down to play calling. Shame on you, AP. Shame on you, AP. I mean that. We have stood up for you for a long time, and for Antonio Pierce to say that he thinks that the issue is execution, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I have never been more disappointed in Antonio Pierce than I am right frickin' now, man. Shame on you, AP.